Hi everyone, this is Ants. Yesterday I went through a major frustration and I ended up having an argument with Calinou. His name is Hugo, with regards to me wasting over an hour just trying to figure out how to get Atlas texture working with GPU particles. And so eventually, as any good resourceful kind of hobbyist game dev goes, he goes to the documentation, and I also went on Discord. And I've been here before, like a couple of years ago when I started using Godot, and I didn't see this. This came out in February 27, and basically there's been a proposal for the past 5 years since 2020 with regards to making Atlas textures work with spatial materials and 3D meshes. What this means is Atlas textures doesn't work under any 3D node, right? And yeah, the discussion's been going on for 5 years, but recently, in January 30th, Hugo made a comment where, you know what, 3D games use high resolution textures anyways, more than 2D. And you have mesh and you have models, and they have materials that have textures that use 4K by 4K, if not even more. And because mobiles are limited, the majority of them at 4K by 4K, it means you can't cram in many kind of materials into a single atlas. That was his kind of major argument. And I argued back because I was frustrated this time. I don't like wasting an hour for things that should work or be documented to work. And I basically said, listen, when it comes to 3D games, you use GPU particles 3D. And within there, you use kind of like Kenny's particle pack, as you can see here. And here's about 77 of them. And you have all these individual particles that should be into just one texture and use a texture atlas or atlas texture, and you just pick off the individual regions so you can reduce the number of draw calls and increase performance. But before we get into that point, I basically documented like, I don't know if you know, but you could actually do comments on this, and I basically said, look, this is 15 hours ago and I'm still fuming. No, I'm just kidding. First thing, and my tone was a little bit bad. And by the way, it's kind of like clickbait and all that. Like, I was pissed, but I just said, first thing, we need to get some documentation to tell us where Atlas texture is supported or not supported. And believe it or not, it's not supported in any 3D and the majority of 2D. And I'll prove it to you. So within an hour, so major credit to Calinou. His name is Hugo in real life. That he actually actioned it, and he created a pull request where he wants to document usage limitations of Atlas textures. And what he changed is one file, which is basically the documentation XML right here. And he added this section here. And it's like 4 sentences, I think. So it basically says it's only usable in 2D rendering, and the key thing is in basic context like Sprite 2D and animated Sprite 2D. And for example, he lists a bunch of other 2D nodes that are not supported. But what I was looking for, as someone who primarily only does 3D, is this comment here. 3D rendering does not support the use of Atlas texture. If this was in the documentation, I wouldn't have had to waste 1 hour in my life. But anyways, this is really good, and he's gonna push it for the 4.5 milestone. As you can see, he's looking for reviews, and already there's been some reviews. Yeah, and that's great news, by the way. So the more documentation is better. But there is another thing he did, and he basically gave a hack this is only a hack for GPU particles 3Ds for now. I'm going to show you in this video. But basically, you could use a consolidated particle atlas like I've done here, and you could use offsets and the speed of animations and set the speed to 0. And I'm going to show you that. and just change the offset. And the offset is between 0 and 1. So you have to use fractions, and it's a hack. And my tone, but seriously, this is a hack. My tone wasn't really good. But this is the reason why I made it 10 by 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 by 10. And there's only 77 here, so I have room for more. And the reason why it's 10 by 10 is going to be obvious when I show you what the hack is. And so let's go to Godot. You may be wondering, why are you making a big deal about GPU particles not using either a texture atlas or like a particle atlas, and why do you need this hack for? And the reason why is you want to reduce the number of texture binds and draw calls. And if you have a lot of effects and GPU particles and all that kind of stuff, then you should be doing this. And most other engines / frameworks actually do this, right? But anyways, the reason why I thought GPU particles would use texture atlases is because this fire here is using a flip book. As you can see, this is an 8x8 a smoke flip book. And I animate it and I go in a loop, and it's 8x8. And so I'm thinking, like, we're halfway there. It's taking the sub-regions of this 8x8 sprite sheet / flip book, right? Why doesn't it support it? But anyways, let's go back to the shadow board. I'm going to show you how to use any subtexture within Kenny's particle pack in your billboard, in your GPU particles. Okay, so just create your particle. I'm not going to go through this because Leilu and some other great content creators have amazing videos how to create amazing GPU particle 3Ds, and so I will maybe link some in the description of how to create amazing effects, because my effects are cheesy compared to that. So anyways, you set up your velocities, your spawns, your color curves, and you have to set the animation to 0. But before you do that, the thing you need to do here is you need to drag and drop the particle atlas and drag and drop the consolidated particle atlas. You have to turn in, and this is in the draw pass quad mesh material, you have to enable particle billboards, and you have to select the number of rows and columns, the H frames and V frames, and I have a 10 by 10 grid, and so there's 100 possible different subtextures in there, which is a lot, by the way. And once you've done that, and by the way, when you select particle billboards, then you get this particle image. If you don't select particle billboards, you won't see this section here, just as a heads up. And now that you've done that, you could go back to the particle process material, and you could change now any image by changing the offset, and the offset's between 0 and 1. So I'm going to change it to 0.07, and I have to change the other to 0.7. So the hack is you got to change both of them, or else if you actually have it a range, it will cycle through and animate through all the different sub textures in the flip book, basically, right? So here's 7. Let's go with 9, 11, 15, 22, 66. As you can see, every one is available to me right now, right? And what is this 54? I gotta change the next one, 54. What is this 54? And I was at 56. So what does this mean? So if we go to, and I call it a particle atlas, it's like a flip book, but you go to 56. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 51, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's using this texture, this subregion here, as like a texture atlas does. It's basically doing the same thing, and that's what it's doing. And that's kind of like the hack, right? It's not big deal, but it works, and it should reduce the draw calls, but I got to do some performance testing if it actually reduces the draw calls. But I'm pretty sure if Calinou and Hugo recommended it, it's probably solid. And again, the title of this video is like, oh, we had an argument. It wasn't really an argument, but I did come across like I was negative. But honestly, some positives came about. There's basically two concrete positives and a third possible one. First of all is whenever you update documentation like this helps other people going through the same frustration find out more quickly that it's not supported. The second thing is he basically documented a hack and he posted it in the document. He basically says there's a way around this, see the reply. That's basically what I'm linking to. And again, I was kind of negative. Seriously, this is a hack. It is a hack, but it works. And again, ultimately, at the end of the day, I just want to reduce my draw calls. The third thing, which I don't know if it's true or not, is if a lot of people start kind of complaining that we should have Alice textures working another 3D mesh, or like he basically says you could use texture arrays, but I think you need to use a shader. I don't know. I got to look into that, but it doesn't look. You have to use texture array. I don't know if that's a good. I mean, he tries to make a case that it's actually better using texture arrays. But anyways, that's the video. I hope you learned something. And again, the lesson learned here is that squeaky wheel gets the oil. If you see the documentation that needs kind of like some adjustment, just post a comment. Be nicer than what I did, because I was a little bit crusty, and I admit that, and I apologize for it, by the way. But I was a little bit frustrated. And just put, hey, you know what? Like, fix the documentation. All these small little things to make better in the long run actually make a big difference. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. And thanks a lot for watching. Take care and have a great day.